I sat there in the Lin family estate, wearing snow-white robes and looking every bit like a handsome young noble, but I was currently busy pounding my head against a wall. My name was Lin Zhe, a citizen of the Bachan Empire on the Azure continent. For 18 years, I lived a normal life, but just now, the memories of my past life came flooding back. I realized I had transmigrated into a trashy web novel I read back on Earth. If I had remembered any later, I'd be dead meat. On the surface, I had the perfect start. My grandfather, Lin Ao, was the founding war god of the empire. My mother was a princess, making the emperor himself my grandfather. My status was as high as it gets. But beneath the surface, this life was a minefield. First, I was the only heir left. The Lin family started with my grandfather and his 3 sons. My 2 uncles died on the battlefield. My father, the youngest, died of illness as a child. Even my older brother had vanished in a war, his body never found. Now, this massive, powerful clan relied entirely on me. Having read enough political dramas, I knew this wasn't a coincidence. I was only alive because I was the last one left. If I died, my grandfather would have nothing left to lose and would go on a suicidal rampage against the empire. I was a leash, but how long would that leash hold? The second problem was the world itself. It followed the logic of a terrible novel. In this world, the protagonist had a brain-dead aura. Women fell for him for no reason, and villains, like me, were forced to be idiots. We'd send henchmen one by one to give him experience points instead of just killing him. In the original story, my character was the ultimate simp. I fell for a girl named Xia Qinghe and gave her every rare resource I had. She took those treasures and secretly gave them to the protagonist so he could grow strong enough to overthrow my family. When my character found out, he didn't even get mad. He just lectured her on morality and kept giving her stuff. 2 years later, the Lin family was slaughtered, and Xia Qinghe personally scattered my ashes. What a joke, I muttered. I remembered leaving a hateful review on that book before I died. Now I was living it. Luckily, the protagonist and Xia Qinghe hadn't appeared yet. I still had time to change the script. As I began analyzing my situation, a mechanical voice echoed in my head. Divine Savant Talent LV1, activated. My eyes widened. I now possessed an invincible level of comprehension. Any technique or law could be mastered to perfection in an instant. Even better, the energy required for these breakthroughs would be drawn from the world itself. No cost, no effort. I needed to test this. I pulled out my family's secret manual, the 8 Desolations Battle Art. In this world, power was divided into 3 ranks: human, earth, and heaven. Most people think postnatal and prenatal stages are weak, but here, a top-tier postnatal warrior could destroy a mountain range with one punch. A prenatal expert could burn the seas or wipe out a kingdom with a single palm. And the Saint Realm? They were beyond human comprehension. The 8 Desolations Battle Art was a peak human-grade technique. My grandfather had only reached the 8th level, yet he was already the Empire's war god. I opened the ancient book. Divine Savant Talent loading. The moment my eyes grazed the pages, the logic of the technique shattered before me. I didn't just read it, I understood it. I saw through every flaw and every secret. 8 Desolations Battle Art, Level 9. Perfection reached. A massive flood of knowledge poured into my brain. Every detail of spiritual energy circulation and physical combat applications became as natural as breathing. I felt the world's energy rushing into my body, fueling a transformation I didn't have to pay for. I wasn't just a noble heir anymore. I was becoming a monster. Every secret of the 8 Desolations Battle Art shattered and reformed inside my mind. It didn't just feel like reading. It felt like I had practiced this technique for decades in complete isolation. I became a grandmaster in an instant. Every nuance, every hidden movement, and every breath of the art was etched into my soul. I didn't even have to think about it. My muscles remembered the movements before my brain could process them. The 8 Desolations Battle Art was tied directly to one's physical cultivation. To reach the 9th level of the art, I had to break through the 9 stages of the postnatal realm. My divine savant talent didn't care about the rules. It tore through the barriers like they were wet paper. My cultivation level began to skyrocket. Postnatal 3rd stage, 5th stage, 9th stage. In a matter of seconds, I hit the postnatal peak. In the Bachan Empire, where prenatal experts were legendary myths, I was now effectively invincible. A terrifying aura erupted from my body, heavy and wild like a flood. It felt like a dam had burst inside me. My life force expanded, a crushing pressure radiating outward that could have leveled a building. I was announcing my existence to the world. I felt power. Raw, absolute power. I clenched my fist, and the air in front of me actually distorted, shimmering like a heat haze. I was ecstatic. This divine savant talent was broken. I had ignored every bottleneck and jumped from the third stage to the peak in a heartbeat. If my grandfather, Lin Zhe, knew about this, he'd probably have a heart attack. He was a genius by the Empire's standards, but it had taken him 60 years of blood and sweat to reach the peak. Even then, his 8 Desolations battle art was stuck at the 8th level. I had surpassed 60 years of effort in a few seconds. And this was only level 1. I looked at my status screen. The progress bar for level 2 was already at 3/10. If level 1 let me master peak tier arts instantly, I couldn't even imagine what level 2 would do. With this talent, the looming death of the Lin family and that protagonist plot didn't scare me anymore. I was going to rip the script to pieces. I muttered to myself that I needed more. The 8 Desolations battle art was an internal cultivation technique. It made my energy strong, but I lacked movement techniques and physical body tempering. I needed to become a 6-sided warrior with no weaknesses. I pushed open my door and headed toward the Lin family library. As I walked through the courtyard, I felt like a different person. My power was perfectly contained now, returning to a state of simple elegance. I walked with the calm, heavy presence of a true master. My eyes had lost their youthful confusion. They were deep, sharp, and filled with absolute confidence. The world looked different now. The light was softer, the flowers smelled sweeter, and the wind felt light on my skin. A soft, fragrant scent hit me before I saw her. A woman walked toward me, looking like a delicate orchid from a hidden valley. She was stunning, tall, with a graceful figure highlighted by a form-fitting light blue dress. Her long legs moved with a rhythmic elegance that was hard to ignore. Her name was Lu Hanyan. Nominally, she was my sister-in-law. My older brother had died in a war before they could even marry, but she had stayed with the Lin family anyway. Her own family had basically sold her to us, and she preferred being a widow in our house to returning to them. My grandfather treated her like his own granddaughter. But I knew the truth from the original story, and it left a bitter taste in my mouth. In the book, Lu Hanyan was a classic, love-brain character. Even after the protagonist slaughtered our entire family, she stayed by his side, hesitating between revenge and her feelings for him. I didn't know if she eventually chose him or not. I had stopped reading the book in a rage before the end. The author of that trash novel made every woman a mindless puppet for the protagonist. My feelings were complicated. I wasn't just a soul who had jumped into this body. I had been born here. I had lived 18 years in this world. To me, Lu Hanyan was family. She was somewhere between an older sister and a childhood sweetheart. Grandfather kept her here because he knew his eldest grandson was gone, but he still had me. Everyone in the family understood the unspoken plan. I understood it too. We had lived together for 10 years. You'd have feelings for a dog after 10 years, let alone a beautiful woman. Now that my memories were back, I felt like someone had just told me my favorite person was destined to become a traitorous idiot. The main plot hadn't started yet, though. Everything could still be changed, and I was going to change it. This world was a mess. In these types of true protagonist stories, logic didn't exist. The protagonist's plot armor and the world's natural urge to fix itself were terrifying forces. I couldn't trust anyone, especially not Lu Hanyan. I had to stay on guard. I let out a silent sigh and cleared my mind. I didn't even look at her. My eyes were cold, indifferent, treating her like a total stranger. As I walked past, I subtly shifted a few steps to the side. I moved like I was avoiding a plague, terrified of catching her love-brain sickness or being hit by her intelligence-lowering aura. Lu Hanyan noticed. It was hard not to. In the past, even if I was in a terrible mood, I'd always stop to chat. I'd call her sister and linger. But now, I didn't say a word. I didn't even nod. I just treated her like a ghost passing in the night. It shocked her. She probably thought I was playing some game. using some push and pull tactic to get her attention. She wasn't being narcissistic. She knew I had feelings for her. To her, marriage was just a duty. It didn't matter who the husband was. She actually preferred me over the lost, eldest brother she'd never met because we grew up together. But that familiarity was exactly why she couldn't see me as a man. To her, I was just a younger brother. Her ideal man had to be a hero. He didn't need to be rich, but he couldn't be a coward. And in her eyes, I was a failure. Everyone said the Lin family had no successor, and I just let them say it. I lived a mediocre life, hiding from my grandfather, the emperor. She sighed to herself, deciding she'd play along and coax me a little. She had watched me grow up, after all. She wanted to spoil me. But then she saw my eyes. That coldness wasn't an act. There was genuine caution in my gaze, like I was looking at a threat. "Brother Zhe?" she asked, her voice soft. "Xiao Chui told me you fainted. Are you all right?" I had fainted because my past life memories flooded in, but it wasn't a medical emergency. If it were serious, my grandfather, Lin Ao, would have already burned the city down. I turned my head slightly. My expression was flat. "Thank you for your concern. I'm perfectly fine." That was it. I didn't wait for a reply. I walked away without looking back. Lu Hanyin stood there, stunned. Was it an illusion? Ever since I woke up, I felt like a completely different person. I headed straight for the Lin family library. It was a massive, grand building, and I had high expectations. It was divided into 3 floors. The first floor held basic martial arts, unranked stuff. To most schools, these were treasures. To the Lin family, they were just exercises for the servants. Anyone could read them. The second floor was split. One side had human-grade low-rank manuals, available to anyone loyal to the family. The other side had human-grade mid-rank manuals. Those were harder to get. You had to be a core member and contribute to the family to see those. The third floor was the heart of our power. It held the high-rank manuals, the strongest techniques below the ultimate peak rank. These were the secrets other families would kill for. Only true bloodline members of the Lin family could enter. 2 guards stood at the entrance of the third floor. They were postnatal 7th-stage experts. In this world, the postnatal realm isn't just one step. It's a long journey of evolution. It covers 9 stages: skin, muscle, bone, blood, organ, meridian, chi return, transport, and spirit. 7th stage is the chi return realm. These people have pushed their bodies to the limit, opened every meridian, and can circulate internal energy endlessly. One breath from them can shatter a small mountain. They live for 300 years. Anywhere else, they'd be generals or honored guests. Here, they were just guards. They stayed because they were Lin Ao's personal brothers in arms. They had followed him through blood and fire. They weren't just guards. They were the elite Lin family army. My grandfather, the god of war, wasn't just a title. 70% of the empire's military was built by his hand. His word carried more weight than an imperial decree. When he retired, his best men followed him and took our name. The guards, Lin Zhong and Lin Yong, bowed deeply as I approached. "Greetings, young master." I smiled and nodded. "Thank you for your hard work." I walked past them into the hall. Behind me, the 2 men froze. They shared a confused look. Had I really just been polite? The young master they knew never thanked anyone. Inside the third floor, I scanned the shelves. Even for a family as rich as ours, high-rank manuals were rare. There were only 4. 1 for swords, 1 for movement, and 2 for internal energy cultivation. I picked up the movement technique first, Heavenly 6 Illusions. Then the sword manual, Shadowless Sword. As I flipped through Heavenly 6 Illusions, a notification flashed in my mind. I had seen through it instantly. I reached the great circle of perfection in seconds. Level 6. Maxed out. My God-level comprehension, trait leveled up to level 2. Next, I opened the Shadowless Sword. Same thing. I mastered it instantly. Level 9. Maxed. In the time it took to flip a few pages, I had learned everything. It felt like I had practiced these moves for decades. There was no clunkiness, no hesitation. My body just knew. Movement, high rank maxed. Sword, high rank maxed. Internal heart method, peak rank maxed. I had walked into this room as a novice. I was walking out as a true martial arts grandmaster. In the entire Northern Qin Empire, There were very few who could match me now. In that moment, I felt like a god. A sharp, terrifying aura radiated from my body, cutting through the air like a frozen blade. The temperature in the third floor dropped instantly. It felt as if a divine sword of ice had claimed this space, bringing the dead of winter with it. Outside the heavy doors, Lin Zhe and Lin Yong shivered. I could hear their breath hitch as the hair on their arms stood up. They looked around, confused and alert, but they couldn't sense anything specific. To them, it just felt like a sudden, freezing draft from nowhere. One of them muttered about the weather turning cold as I pushed the doors open. I stepped out, my tall frame moving with a new, quiet power. I was in a hurry. I had things to do. Before the guards could even bow, I vanished. I didn't just walk away, I flickered like a ghost. Behind me, a faint, feather-like afterimage lingered for a split second before dissolving into nothing. Lin Yong stood there, mouth agape. He wondered how I could be so fast. But Lin Zhe, the more experienced of the two, looked at the spot where I had been with pure shock. He knew that wasn't just speed. He recognized the footwork. It was the Heavenly Six Illusions. As a top practitioner of that technique himself, he knew exactly what he saw. To leave an afterimage like that, a person had to reach at least the fourth illusion. In our family, the people who could do that were rare, mostly veterans over the age of 30 who had practiced for decades. I was 18. I was only at the third stage of the postnatal realm. How could I have mastered a high-rank technique to such a level? I didn't stay to explain. I headed straight for the second floor. After sweeping through the high-rank manuals on the third floor, my God-level comprehension progress sat at 70%. I needed 3 more points to level it up. The second floor was packed with middle-rank manuals. They weren't as powerful, but I didn't care about quality anymore. I needed quantity. I grabbed a book titled Savage Bull Body Refining. I flipped through it. Nothing. My progress stayed at 70. I picked up another one, The Blazing Demon Script. Still 70. I didn't get discouraged. I kept grabbing books, flipping pages as fast as my eyes could track the words. Finally, after the 4th book, the number ticked up. 71. 4 middle-rank books for 1 point of progress. I looked at the shelves. There were at least 40 books here. It was enough. I dove back in, losing myself in the sea of knowledge. 90%. 100%. Suddenly, a profound realization flooded my mind. It was like a door in my soul had been kicked wide open. I saw the fundamental essence of how techniques were built. My God-level comprehension evolved to level 2. A new notification flashed. Asterisk from now on, you will gain breakthrough insights into any technique. All mastered techniques will be pushed 1 level beyond their natural limit. Asterisk. My mind drifted into a vast, starry void. I saw the mysteries of the universe unfolding. In that state of enlightenment, I didn't just understand my techniques, I improved them. I looked at my 8 Desolations War method. It was already at the 9th level, the peak. But I saw a path further. I pushed it. I reached the 10th level. Then I turned to the Heavenly Six Illusions. I pushed it to the 7th illusion. My Shadowless sword hit level 10. Every single skill I had learned broke its shackles. The biggest change was the 8 Desolations War method. It was already close to the Earth rank, the level of the legendary innate beings. By reaching the 10th level, I felt a barrier inside me crack. I wasn't just a master anymore. I had 1 foot through the door of the innate realm. I was now a half-step innate expert. If I could push it to the 11th level, I would truly become an innate being, a legendary figure of near-mythical power. My eyes glowed. If level 2 comprehension could do this, what could level 3 do? I went back to the books, desperate for more. I finished every middle-rank manual in the library. My progress reached 8% toward level 3. I needed 92 more points. I did the math and felt a massive headache coming on. To get 92 points, I need 92 high-rank manuals or nearly 400 middle-rank ones. Even for a family as powerful as the Lins, manuals were precious. We only had 4 high-rank books and 40-some middle-rank ones. Where was I going to find that many? I looked toward the low-rank section. It was the bottom of the barrel, but I figured it might give me something. I spent hours scanning every single one. By the time I finished the entire library, my progress was at 13%. Over 100 low-rank books had only given me 5 points. Still, it wasn't a total waste. Even if my talent level didn't jump, I had absorbed everything. Every palm technique, every fist style, and every body-refining method the Lin family owned was now part of me. My physical body had been tempered and forged by 100 different styles. I felt invincible. My physical body was now a fortress. My blood and chi surged with such intensity that they formed a visible mist above me, like a pillar of smoke from a signal fire. With pure physical strength alone, I was practically untouchable. Evil couldn't penetrate me. I could break through any spell or technique with a single punch. I had become the ultimate all-rounder. Every manual in the Lin family library was etched into my soul. I was a peak expert, a level of power the North Qin dynasty couldn't even dream of reaching. I realized that any crisis facing the Lin family, whether it was the people trying to end our bloodline or the protagonist plots yet to come, was now manageable. If they dared to show up, I'd make sure they never left. But I still had a problem. To upgrade my talent again, I needed a massive amount of manuals. Where was I going to find them? I stepped out of the library, wondering which family's collection I should visit next. A maid came rushing toward me, looking frantic. "Young master, I've been looking everywhere for you," she cried out. I nodded calmly. "Don't worry. Take your breath and tell me what's wrong." My gentle tone caught her off guard. She looked at me, blinking in confusion. To her, I seemed different today. She wasn't powerful enough to sense my true cultivation, but she could see the change in my bearing. I looked more handsome, more confident. There was an elegance about me now, a quiet strength that made her blush slightly. "The old master needs to see you immediately," she said, her voice softening. He seemed very urgent. My grandfather wanted me, and it was urgent? I searched my memory for the original plot of the book. At this point in the timeline, an urgent meeting could only mean one thing. A golden flash flickered in my eyes. The idiot plot was about to begin. I marched into the main hall and saw a towering, magnificent figure. Even though he had been retired for years, Lin Ao still carried the aura of a great commander who once held the power of life and death over the masses. He stood like an eternal god of war, sharp and imposing, with eyes that could make a grown man tremble. The only thing that didn't fit was the string of prayer beads in his hand. I knew the truth about him. Lin Ao had spent his life fighting. He never believed in gods or spirits. He only believed in his ancestors. He used to scoff at the idea of karma or divine retribution. But after his sons died and the original Lin Zhe was lost in the chaos of war, this iron-willed man had finally buckled. He had turned to faith out of desperation. "Grandfather, you called for me?" I asked. Lin Ao didn't speak. He just stared at me. With his high cultivation, he noticed something was off the moment I walked in. Ever since I had fainted, I seemed like a different person. The old Lin Zhe was insecure, gloomy, and cowardly. He used to sound half-dead when he spoke. But now, I stood tall, radiating confidence and vitality. If he hadn't been watching the house so closely, he would have suspected I was an imposter. He wondered if that fainting spell had somehow knocked some sense into my head. Finally, Lin Ao spoke. "The autumn trials at the North Qin Academy are over. In a few days, the Emperor will host the Golden Autumn Feast to personally inspect the students. You will be going." I knew it. The Golden Autumn Feast. In the original story, this was where all the tragedies began. It was at this feast that Lin Zhe met Xia Qinghe from the academy and began his pathetic downward spiral as a treasure delivery boy for the protagonist. It was also the starting point of Lin Ao's physical decline. Lin Ao was a 9th-level Temple Realm expert with a potential lifespan of 1,000 years. But a lifetime of war had ravaged his body. He was covered in scars, old wounds layered over older ones. His foundation was crumbling. Though he was only 100 years old, a youth by expert standards, he was aging rapidly. His peak was passing. The injuries he used to suppress with sheer willpower were about to explode. He wanted me to go to the feast to secure a future in politics. He knew he didn't have much time left. He wanted to use the Lin family's prestige to get me a high-ranking position so I'd be safe once he was gone. I secretly circulated my half-step innate energy to scan his body. What I saw was horrifying. The accumulation of hidden damage was so bad that even with my current power, fixing it would be difficult. "What are you looking at?" Lin Ao asked, noticing the glow in my eyes. I pulled back my gaze and gave him a firm nod. I'll go to the feast. I remembered a specific medical technique held by the North Qin royal family called the 9-level mysterious life needle. It was legendary for saving officials and generals on the brink of death. The effectiveness of the needles depended on the user's cultivation. The current imperial physician was only at the 7th level, so he could only reach the 8th needle. That wasn't enough to save my grandfather. But I was different. If I got my hands on that manual, my system would instantly bring it to max level. With my half-step innate cultivation, saving Lin Zhe would be easy. I had to get into the palace to get those needles. Plus, if I could borrow some time in the royal library, my talent level would skyrocket. The royal family definitely had the best collection in the country. Lin Zhe looked surprised. Usually, I would whine and complain about going to the palace. Good, he said, his expression softening. Go there and perform well. Try to make an impression on the emperor. He paused, looking at me with a complicated gaze. I know you've heard the rumors. I know you resent him. But he is your biological grandfather. He won't mistreat you. The rumors he mentioned were about the Lin family's power overshadowing the throne. In the North Qin military, Lin Zhe's word carried more weight than an imperial decree. People whispered that the deaths of the second generation of Lins weren't accidents. In the original story, the character Lin Zhe was terrified of the palace because of them. He lived his life like a walking corpse, hiding behind a mask of cowardice. I didn't know exactly what the original Lin Zhe was thinking, but I understood the game. If I hadn't pretended to be mediocre back then, I probably would have died in another unfortunate accident by now. Lin Zhe sighed, the prayer beads in his hand clicking faster. They were polished to a deep, oily shine from years of constant use. I don't have high expectations for you, he muttered. Just protect yourself. That's enough. He waved his hand, dismissing me. Go and prepare. When the Golden Autumn Feast begins, Old Mo will go with you. Old Mo was the family butler, Lin Mo. He was a powerhouse at the 8th level of the Hotian realm. More than just a servant, he was the former deputy commander of the Lin family army. He had fought side by side with my grandfather since the very beginning. He was a Lin family loyalist to his core. Even in the original book, after the family fell and Lin Zhe sacrificed himself, Lin Mo never wavered. He led the remnants of the army in a desperate rebellion, spilling his blood until the very last spark of his soul burned out. With a man like that, and an army like ours, the Lin family held a winning hand. We had the best cards in the game. It honestly baffled me how the original Lin Zhe managed to lose so spectacularly. He deserved every bit of hate the readers gave him. I bowed to my grandfather and left the main hall. As I walked down the wooded path of the estate, my mind was racing. I needed high-quality manuals. I needed them now. After feeling the raw power of my upgraded talent, I was hooked. I wanted to climb to the very top, one step at a time, until no one could look down on me. I was so deep in thought that I didn't notice Lu Hanyan practicing her sword in a nearby pavilion. But she noticed me. I was different now. My temperament, my energy, and the sheer presence I radiated were impossible to ignore. She stopped her mid-air strike and watched me. The afternoon sun filtered through the sparse leaves, casting flickering shadows across the path. Fragments of golden light hit me, highlighting my face as I walked with my head down in concentration. The light stretched my shadow long behind me. To her, I probably looked like a different person. I was tall, lean, and full of a new kind of vitality. I looked like a son of the sun, glowing with focus. Lu Hanyan stared, unable to wrap her head around it. She couldn't understand how a man could change this much in a single day.